Hello, today's Bible study comes from the book of John, chapter 20, verses 30 and 31. And they read as follows. Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book, but these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. This this really these two verses, although short, are powerful because it speaks to the purpose of why John wrote the gospel, why John was writing these things down. He says, Jesus performed many other signs with the disciples around. There were all kinds of other miracles that Jesus performed. Just hearing him speak had to be amazing. And even if you look in the next chapter, which we'll go into, if you look at verse 20, chapter 21, verse 25, it says, and there are so many other things that Jesus did, which if they were written one by one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. Amen. John couldn't write everything that Jesus did. In this book, this was the book intended in conclusion of the gospel. And he says it when he says this book. You notice if you go to John 1 and 1, it starts you off. And this is the conclusion of the gospel. And he says, which are recorded in this book. So John is saying this book is the end all. This book is the one that was in the seeing Jesus in the presence. I witnessed it. I'm documenting it. I'm telling you about it. But he said it was written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah. And you can see that you had people that were with them at this time, Thomas, uh, even the other disciples who didn't believe, even when they saw it. Their faith had to be a I gotta see it thing. And they had to see it more than once. But God was so good that he let us see it. When he was here physically, he let us see it. But he also tells you, blessed are those who haven't seen and haven't. You get a blessing just for believing. Blessed are those that haven't seen and still have this faith. See, you're reading now what all occurred. But if you go back a little ways, and even in chapter 20, I think it is, John tells you, blessed are those that haven't seen and believe. You get a blessing from this. But these things are written that will believe that Jesus is the Messiah. Not only will believe, but believe that he is the Messiah, that he came from glory in the man form, that he was crucified, that he was resurrected, he defeated death, he ascended back to where he came. You have to believe that. And when you believe, you are blessed. And believe that he is the Son of God, as he had been telling you. And that by believing, when you believe in this, you get another reward in this situation. You get a blessing, but you may have life in his name, not in somebody else's name, not in one of these false gods' names, but in his name. And in a world where we have everybody trying to say he doesn't exist, this is fables, whatever they may say, know that God has been God. Know that man has created nothing. Man has manipulated what has been available to them. And if they didn't believe, they wouldn't take so much time trying to make you doubt. Remember, even the demons were trying to make you doubt. And when they saw Jesus up on them, they called him by his name. They asked him, what are you going to do to us? Because they knew he had the power. So the purpose of John's book was to show you all the deeds that Jesus did and the fact that he couldn't even get them all in this book and that they were done in front of witnesses. And all of it couldn't make it in my book, John is saying, but the real reason they are written is for that you may believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, he is the Son of God, and that by you believing in what we have witnessed, you may have life in his name. Now, if you can think back, because these verses go back. If you think back when Jesus came to the disciples and they were all there except for Thomas, and they saw him, they touched him, and their faith got stronger. Then Thomas showed up, and they were telling Thomas, and Thomas didn't believe. He said, I need to see it for myself. And Jesus came in the same way, said the same thing, peace be with you, and let Thomas touch him. But he did tell Thomas, you needed to see me to have faith. But blessed are those that don't and have faith. So don't get discouraged because people have doubts. We gonna fall short. We gonna miss the boat sometimes. But we got a redeeming God. We got a loving and merciful God that tells you just believe. Keep believing. I can work with anybody. I can come upon anybody who wants to receive me. But you gotta want me. And these things are written so that you can see what I have done. That you can believe that others have seen. And that you can believe that I am who I said I was and who I am. And then that you can have life in my name. Amen.